Hello, good day. Welcome to Music Motors. Welcome to what is one of the most hotly anticipated vehicles of 2019. This is the 2019 Suzuki Jimny, a complete redesign, a complete upgrade on the previous generation, the previous Jimny. Now, we know the Jimny has been historically a fantastic vehicle, a go everywhere and a fantastically loved vehicle. What they've done is change it into something a bit more modern. Aesthetically, what more manufacturers are using on the outside is using like a G-Wagon and a Jeep Wrangler and stuff like that. And then they've brought the interior up to scratch as well with more technology. Base prices start at around 18,000. You go for a two-tone paint job and you can have a little bit more on there. And realistically powered by a 1.5 litre petrol engine, 101 PS, 130 newton meters of torque, 90 mile an hour top speed, and 62 approaches in about 12 seconds, though Suzuki hasn't actually officially said what it will do it in. So here's the 2019 Suzuki Jimny. Time for a bit of a city economy test. This is a mix of not A roads, but B roads, C roads, back roads, hopefully some traffic. A little bit of 60, but not very much at all. Straight back into 30s and 40s, up and down hills, and just seeing how we do. So let's go. So while on paper this shouldn't do too well around town, it does do extremely well around town. 37 miles per gallon, easily driving normally. If the air conditioning wasn't on, the windows were down. There was drag all over the place and it was comfortable. Visibility is good. It's a great ride. The driving characteristic is more suited to back roads than it is more central, busy roads. But it's a really nice vehicle to drive. So with that economy and the fact that it's quite nice to drive, it's done really well on this. Outside, there have very clearly been some style upgrades, some aesthetical changes which now hint more towards the G-Wagon and the Wrangler than the previous generation Jimny. If anything, it's actually stepped away from the Suzuki design language that we know and we've seen in current models, but not so much so that it's totally disconnected. From a side profile, you would genuinely be able to spot this as a Jimny. From the back end, it does still look Jimny, though it is substantially different. That front end is now, it's a new character, it's a new belonging. It looks great. 15-inch alloys on the outside, which have loads of tread, meaning when you're off-road you don't have to worry about anything. And generally, this now, I mean, in pictures it looks big. When you get up front, you realise it's considerably smaller than you think it is. The front end is definitely a handsome-looking thing now. Not that the previous generation Jimnys weren't, but this is now a very stylish, a very good-looking front end SUV. It is an SUV. In fact, it's an off-roader beyond anything else. The side profile gives you that real hint of, you know, flared out arches and capable design, which means that you're not going to be bashing into stuff when you do take it off-road. And the back end equally good enough of ground clearance to mean that it looks like an off-roader. It looks like an off-roader of days gone by. It looks more of an off-roader than a G-Wagon. And the only vehicle that I can really put it close to is a Wrangler, even though everyone says aesthetically this is a mini G-Wagon because it's quite boxy. It's got quite a flat-faced front end. But do bear in mind, the Wrangler's got that too, and that's design language that we've seen in even things like early Toyotas. Aesthetically though, this looks great, and Suzuki have done a fantastic job. Time for a bit of a Geek Test. So all my equipment's in the back. Surprisingly and amazingly, as I'll show you on the other end, the bases actually fit in lengthways, which is quite a rare thing to happen, especially in small cars. It's normally for the bigger SUVs. So now I have a fair distance, a fair whack to go, and I'll tell you what the combined fuel economy was there and back, all combined, what it turns around. So let's go. So far we're looking at almost 50 miles per gallon, which is mental considering it's a brick on wheels, effectively aerodynamically. But so far quite comfortable, bit of wandering on the steering, but the lack of power, supposed lack of power, isn't really too noticeable. It sits really comfortably at about 65. If you go above that, then the wind starts to kind of buffet you around. Aside from that, all good. Gig time. Right, gig is done, home time. Fortunately, having some decent LED headlights means that visibility at night time is going to be quite good. General visibility all round's good, and it's going to be quite a sedate and relaxed drive. Fingers crossed, it's about an hour's worth of driving to go, and I'll tell you the final MPG at the other end, but so far it's gone beyond what's even written on paper, so I'll be excited to show you. So at the end of the day, the turnaround was 46.9 miles per gallon, which, considering the type of driving it is pretty surprising. The biggest thing is that everyone kind of says this isn't a good everyday and motorway and do everything type of car, and I actually think differently to that. I think this is an exceptionally good do everything car. The gear ratios aren't perfect for motorway driving, so you do tend to drive at about 60, so that you're not driving at 3,500 RPM. The visibility is good, it's really comfortable, most amenities, the radio could be a little bit better, but otherwise a good gigging car, a good everyday test, and it's passed with relative flying colours because everything fits in the back with ease. When you step inside, you may initially think, oh, this is a bit outdated, it's full of plastic, it looks really old-fashioned, and from the surface point of view, that initial impression, I can agree with you because I was there when I first looked at it, but then you start looking into more depth. You start looking, it's got Suzuki infotainment system, so you've got DAB, you've got Bluetooth, you've got sat-nav, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, USB charging, and 2 speakers. Not the best speakers, but 2 speakers, which means that from a technological point of view, I mean, their infotainment system is great. I really like it. So there's a really, really good point. It has an automatic climate control, very, very good. Then you suddenly realise it's got forward collision assist, it's got cruise control, it's got automatic headlights, it's got automatic high beam, it's got heated seats. Suddenly the interior doesn't look so out of date, rather understated, hard wearing, loads of technology, but just quite understated in the way it puts it forward. On the inside, you'll note that it is very comfortable. It's relatively quiet around town. On the motorway, the only reason that it's not so quiet is the fact that because of the gear ratios, you end up being at about 3,500 RPM, normal motorway speed, 70 miles an hour, that sort of speed. However, from an interior point of view, I couldn't question it. I had no issues with anything. It's hard, it's robust, it will stand the test of time quite easily, and it's a nice place to be. Heated seats are a great amenity, electric windows. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it will also tell you if drifting out of the lane. So for a vehicle which you would on paper think, oh no, this is going to be an out-of-date, old technology-based vehicle, it most certainly isn't. From a performance point of view, well, let's start on-road performance. And let's start with that engine, 1.5 litre petrol engine, 5-speed manual box. It's about 101 PS, 130 newton meters of torque. You'll see about 90 miles an hour at the top end, although dare say you would probably see a little bit more. And you'll get to 62 in about 12 seconds, though Suzuki haven't actually officially made a claim of what it will do. Now, from an on-road point of view, it does wander a little bit, not terribly, definitely less so than a Wrangler. The pedal feel is actually quite decent, while there is a bit of sponge, no more than you expect in a vehicle of this type. The gearbox throw is quite nice and lets you know that you are definitely in gear and everything is definitely going on. Now, when you're on back roads, you're giving it a little bit more. You do on occasion feel a slight hint of understeer, but generally it feels very composed. For the fact that this isn't really made to deal with that type of on-road driving, it does very well. In the city, it is exceptional. The pick up and go is good. The lock is superb. The visibility is amazing. It really suits city life quite well, and you'll get 43 to the gallon easily. But where this excels the most is off-road, obviously, because there isn't a single thing this can't do. There are off-road routes, green lanes that I'll go down, that things like the X350 I've recently had, that have a bit of a struggle to get on, because they'll bog in and they'll really struggle to grip to pull themselves through, but this doesn't. It's light, it's nippy, it goes everywhere. Obviously you can pop it in 4-wheel drive mode as you're going along, and low range as you're going along, within reason. That low range box generally is only there to save the clutch. Otherwise, even without a low range, this pulls itself everywhere. It is so unstoppable off-road. It's definitely one of the kings of standard off-roading. I put it up there with things like Range Rovers, Land Rovers, and even old school Land Rovers. On a run on the motorway, you're likely to see no less than about 45 miles to the gallon, and upwards of 50 miles per gallon if you're really lucky. And on the motorway, it is quite easy, although it does drift every now and then, and obviously because of its shape, it does get affected by wind. It does everything so well. It seems like a really capable and all-round vehicle from a performance point of view and from a daily point of view. Now, with prices being about 18.5, 18.6, put some options on it, as in the paint colour, the two-tone, just over £19,000, 2 variants to go from, which I think are SJ4, SJ5. And it really shows to me that Suzuki, they know their demographic, they know the people that buy this. They really know them, because this is such a good car that there's an 18-month waiting list to buy one. I'm contemplating putting my name down. I'm not sure my wife would be too happy about having another car in the house. But this is just such an exceptional, go everywhere, do anything type of vehicle. It's unstoppable. No matter where you take it, no matter what you want it to do, it will do it without question. So that's why I think Suzuki have absolutely nailed the 2019 Suzuki Jimny.